And welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here in Mandem, sort of. Anyway, I should be getting back to the regular website soon and such, and feel a little less abnormal, but whatever. The dissenter types, I don't know what even to call them, they're just trolls, really. People just keep making the same argument over and over and over again, and it just doesn't matter what you say. To explain how we have a fundamental disagreement, and so what's the point? In a sense, they're arguing you should never go to war for any cause. So no victim is worth it. Nothing is ever worth saving. They would not have shown up to save the what do you call it? The Federation, the Republic. The American Republic. They wouldn't have shown up to save that, and they wouldn't have shown up to stop the stupid Nazis, and they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't do anything. They just say, oh no, I can't ever change anything deliberately. I can only change it by my inaction. It's a simple enough argument. Inaction is the same as action. There's just about zero difference between deciding not to do something and deciding to do something. You really can't make them different things. They're both volition in a sense. Your volition is to not add 2 plus 2 and get 4. Well, you're still getting a number. You're still getting 0 or, Barney the dinosaur or whatever, rotten egg. You're still getting some kind of answer. You're producing an answer whether you want to or you don't want to. You're still producing it. You're producing an effect on the world. And you can choose that your effect sucks, or you can choose that your effect is in the right direction. And so I would argue that, yes, life is not worth living. The Federation isn't worth having. The country isn't worth having. The whole thing isn't worth having if you have to have it at a preposterously stupid cost. And even if one of the costs is you have to go to war every now and then to kill the bad guys, well, maybe that's too much of a cost. Frankly, I mean, it might be on my list of, well, that's too expensive, so fuck it. Let the whole thing blow up. Kill them all, because we obviously can't do this in a civilized manner, and therefore there's no point in doing it, because it's bleeding, it's running a deficit. So you think you're profiting somehow. The world is making enough money to pay off all the victims, all the women you raped. You have enough money to pay them off or something. I mean, this is just bullshit, okay? So that's our disagreement. You do nothing, I do something. There, that's our disagreement. What the fuck else do you want me to say? So we'll just see another version of this. They keep posting, oh, you're afraid to deal with these great arguments. No. I didn't know this argument even existed. And if there's an argument here, I don't know. I'm certainly not afraid of it, but you have to actually get to the point. You're not arguing the actual argument. So what's the point? You keep saying it's not worth fighting for. I'm saying obviously it's worth fighting for. I can see the victims, with my imagination. I can go into the future and I can see them suffering unnecessarily for silly notions and other nonsense heads. I can see it. Okay, like a Jew in a concentration camp, I can see it. You're telling me, oh yeah, I agree with you, it's there, but fuck the Jews. That's what you're saying to me. You don't understand why your argument isn't effective? It's not effective because you've done nothing to explain to me why the cause isn't worth fighting for, isn't worth going to war for. So until you do that, you're just talking to the wind, frankly. You're not talking to me.
I want to express my dissent regarding statements and positions that are supported by too many people.
Oh, it's too many people. Yeah, there's 7 of us on planet Earth. But whatever. Yeah. It's just hilarious. Hilarious beginning.
I think it's necessary to clarify and highlight the danger of certain ideas.
Okay, well, let's get to it then.
Mostly because many agree with them and show their...
Yes, that's right. Many who write incoherent little blabbles on comment sections. Yeah, The force is so powerful. Oh, we must stop it.
Sport for them. These ideas arise from the ideological defilism that some try to promote by connecting it to antinatalism.
Oh, please. I mean, it's just so stupid a comment to make. I mean, it was publicly done, okay, in video form. This, whatever you want to call it, this connection. And the connection was antinatalism is kind of a pussy shitty statement, okay? It's not a very cool word to be using. And I don't mean, it's just about style. It's also about what it's saying. It's not saying anything. You're anti-pregnancy in some vague notion way, or you're anti-what? Breastfeeding? I mean, it's so ambiguous and such a mushy word. And so I decided to say I would like to find a more direct statement. And clearly, all I was saying was, I'm not against natalism. I'm not against breastfeeding. I'm not against, teaching your child how to cross the street or some other thing that might be part of nataling. No, I'm against procreation, so it should be anti-procreationism. Fundamentally, I'm against this idiotic notion that these living parasites, these organisms on Earth, have anything to accomplish but menace each other and waste conscious experience. Because they really can't do anything. They're just retarded organisms seeking knowledge, right? Because if I gave you all knowledge, then you'd be done, right? You'd be sitting here saying, well, I'm smart. I'm smart enough. I'm smart enough not to want this, and I'm smart enough not to want that, and I'm smart enough to know that's harmful, and I'm smart enough to... And they'd be done here. Because there would be no game to play for a smart organism. A smart organism doesn't sit here and say, oh, I have to go to the bar and get some, Klingon whatever super juice, and I have some dopey conversation with somebody who has a trunk for a mouth, and this is it. Just there's only fantasies that people can live for. They cannot possibly live for the reality, because it's a bug planet, and only a bug brain would sit there and say, oh yeah, we're accomplishing something. So that's all it is, okay? Now, you want to say, oh, it's some conspiracy, they're trying to steal our identity, blah, blah, blah. No, you can have your little antinatalism. Go ahead and play with it all you want. I don't want to have anything to do with it, frankly. Because I'm anti-life, and it's just a fact, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'm anti-life. Life is stupid, okay? It's a parasitic, malicious little organism that attempts, the DNA molecule attempts to take over all the matter, consume all the matter, so it all becomes me. I mean, it's a psychotically stupid thing, okay? It has no brain. The little dumb molecule can't understand any of this. We can, and you're just wasting and squandering that capacity. And you're playing little word games. Oh, you tried to steal our word. No, I don't want your word. Ugh.
But we should instead be detached from it for various reasons.
Yes, go ahead, get detached.
Considering murder as morally wrong.
Murder. So what the fuck is murder? What is that? Oh, is that killing a Nazi? Oh, you murdered the Nazi. I have to put you in jail because you did the wrong thing. You stopped a bad guy. You can't do that. So again, bullshit rhetoric. And look, the whole point is I'm not advocating that we go out and shoot each other tomorrow because we can't resolve our differences. I clearly am doing exactly the opposite. I'm making arguments on the internet, attempting to persuade people to be reasonable and rational and understand the context, the real context of their existence, to pay some attention to the evolutionary history and kind of understand that we're just kind of built to be psychotic. We're not built to be smart. We're built to be passionate and to accomplish a task, which is to cover the world with our DNA, to soil as much of the future with it as we can. And yes, that's the biological mechanism, and we're smart enough to know, well, that's a stupid ambition. Oh, Jesus.
should be obvious, I think, but evidently in this case it's necessary to.
Yeah, no, it's not obvious at all. It's not obvious in a single moment of human history that there isn't something called conflict and it has to be sometimes resolved by it's either me or you, fella. You know, we both can't cohabit. All right, that's been part of the way life works forever. That's exactly how it functions. So, where, why is this obvious that this is somehow, no, that's not part of the game? Yeah, it's exactly what the game is. Ideologies have to bury each other on the ash hippie of history. Okay, and sometimes you have to literally do that. Now, I'm not advocating that that's your first option is to go whack everybody. Frankly, because I can't do it. But that's the major reason I have to concede. But there is this whole thing called civilization, and we do know that this is the first step is to have the conversation. And yes, we have irreconcilable differences, and that's going to be a problem. There's going to have to be a divorce, and guess what? There's there's no separate towns for us to live in. There's no separate realities for you to go do your Jew burning in. Okay? And that's what you are. Just understand you're abdicating from your responsibility to go rescue the victims. You're saying fuck the victims because I'm involved in some kind of social contract that says I can only use these words, and I have to be polite, and I have to take my shoes off before I go in the house and do this and do that. You're doing your little Mr. Rogers thing, and that's not going to get anything fixed in the world.
Make it clear, killing humans and animals to prevent future suffering is morally impermissible.
It's insanely stupid to think there's some other plan that's going to work. Okay, so the only way you eradicate something, you want to make something go extinct, you have to kill the generation. And that's just a practical fact. Now, you think there's some magic. If you wish it away, it'll go away. So what's your plan instead? How would you kill the virus, right? How would you deal with a problem that's just real? It's going to be a fact. You're conceding the existence of these facts, and yet you're saying, I can't do anything. I'm disabled, okay, because I say it's morally wrong. And again, you're sort of making this argument to ethylism. So you should know part of ethylism is we don't really play the morally game. Okay, you have to play the value ethics game somewhere. So when you want to say something's wrong, you have to explain how the value equation is in a deficit. That is, you have to prove somehow that if you did kill the one person, that would be worse than letting him rape the 17 women or something. So you have to explain to me how killing the criminal and resolving a future dilemma doesn't make sense. So until you can explain how it doesn't make sense, there's no point in saying this morally crap. Morally says who? You? Yeah, oh, you made it up. Oh, okay, it's your morality. So you say so. Right? And that's the same as God, right? You saying it and God saying it, that's the same thing. I mean, you have to make a logical argument. You have to explain somehow how it makes sense logically for me to forget the simple addition I can do. I can do simple mathematics and figure out I'm saving money. Okay, and you're telling me, no, you're really losing money. Well, I'm saying, no, here's the math. Show me where I'm losing any money. No, you're losing money. That's all you're saying. And you're not explaining how it's possible to pervert the numbers to make that make sense. So until you can make that make sense, it's morally wrong, which means somehow you're losing money. Well, until you can show me how I'm losing money, I'm not going to believe you.
It's seriously bad and unacceptable.
Says you. Fine. From whatever source. God? What's your source for this? It's unacceptable. When everybody knows it's acceptable. If some invader is invading their home to rape their children, they know it's perfectly sensible to shoot the fucker. So when you're saying, no, you have to let him rape, it's just, yeah, it's morally wrong to stop rapists. That's what you're saying. Do you understand? That's exactly what you're saying. It's not like you're just saying it a little bit. No, it's exactly what you're saying.
And it has nothing to do with antinatalism.
So, again, whatever that even means. I just don't understand what you're saying. It doesn't have. So, stopping life on Earth, okay, and asking people to wear condoms and to give up on their notion that their prodigy is going to have some kind of special great life and they're all going to be, heroes and, you know, just not have to go through any kind of horrible trauma. Even though statistics say, no, that's not going to happen. Getting people to realize that all the other, like I said, 99% of the arguments being made from Ephesus are arguments about the futility and how you have to get past the psychological impulses that are bred into you by your conditioning, your ambitions, all this stuff. You think it's important because you were raised to become addicted to it. So all you are is addicted to potato chips. You can find something else to eat, work on it a little bit, no big deal.
Also, in many cases, killing is even ineffective for the goal of.
Well, you'd have to prove that. So again, you won't do that. You won't show how it doesn't work, how there's some theoretical reason why it's not going to work. Now, it'll work really well. Okay, if a giant asteroid hits the planet, it's going to work really well.
Reducing the total amount of suffering. The red bottom scenario will never be a reality.
He says so you say so with your crystal ball that says I can predict how stupid human beings will remain, and that's all you're saying to me, because obviously this is not a complicated argument. It really isn't. You're just really saying, what are you accomplishing by having a kid? Oh, you're sentencing them to something worse than the electric chair. The electric chair is a humane way of killing people. The gas chamber, all that stuff, it's quick and relatively painless. Your children are going to be sentenced to a long, slow electric chair. They're going to get zapped, with not enough voltage to kill them, but just enough to really beat the crap out of them. And that's the reality right here on Earth of how people live. Okay, with most of them enduring a hard, brutal death. Okay, alone. They have to watch their mates die. They have to watch sometimes their children die. Brutal events. They're going to be imposed on them, and for what? A glimmer in somebody's head about how I'll feel all special if I have a baby. People will treat me better if I have a baby. Blah, 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 blah. Little bullshit ideas in people's heads. Yuck. And you're saying, oh, humans will never get over it. Well, I think humans can get over it, all right? Frankly, I think they can get over their religion and all the rest of this shit. And I don't know whether it's what's motivating you, but frankly, your rhetoric sounds like that's where you're coming from.
It is delusive to think that it can be anything more than a thought experiment.
Blah, 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 blah. No, it really isn't. Watch some sci-fi films or something. These dilemmas of dealing with the fact that we are robots, that, the smarter you are, the less entertained you are by this, matrix. The game sucks, okay? It turns into, it's like a really, you play the new video games and you go back now and then do the retro thing. But it really ain't the same, You really, this does miss an awful lot of the elements, doesn't it? And that's sort of what it is to become a little bit aware in the world, is that, it all gets kind of lame. Beep, 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 boop, boop, boop. The game gets really boopy. Ugh.
Neither sentient life nor the human species will ever go extinct.
So says you. All right. Oh, God says so. What should I call you, Mohammed? I mean, you look a little like a Mohammed, so is that what you're saying? You're Mohammed, and you've come here to tell us the future? Okay, you're not going to make a logical argument explaining any of this bullshit. Jesus. Yes, humans are fucktarded. Idiocracy at the moment is winning, but there's still a glimmer of hope. That Yes, the intellectia will grow some balls and start talking about reality rather than, you know, the Kardashians.
because of a human intervention of any kind directed to that goal. I think that
Blah blah blah. I think. I can't argue. I can't explain. I can't defend. You just do your little thinking. Yeah, that's very special.
ideas shouldn't be held at all costs in
Shouldn't be hold at all costs. So where do you draw the line again? So the Jews are in the concentration camp, and let's say all of them were kept in Germany. So you're going to annihilate the Jewish race. It's okay to do that. And what other race can we wipe out? I mean, frankly, obviously, all of us are sort of. It's not too hard to go. Who the fuck cares? I don't care about all that diversity shit and everything else. It's not that interesting to me, frankly. I mean, it's just not. I'm not a diversity whore. So yeah, you probably could have wiped out a few species of human, a few races, and I wouldn't give a shit. Personally, I mean, on a personal level, I wouldn't. Now, you're saying, oh yeah, it just automatically gets you all excited and hysterical. Well, I don't know. Is that an honest statement by you? I don't know if it really is. I don't know if that's really the truth or just bullshit, right? You're just placating some I'm a good person, I'm a good person, I'm a good person ideal. Where you have to love everybody, even though you don't. So you have to just keep telling you know, the losers that they're not losers because you're afraid to tell the truth. Well, fuck that. Grow up. You're going to talk real philosophy, then you probably should do it from some point of credibility. And I just find it a little bit incredible that you don't think there's any cost worth fighting for. I wonder if it was your people. If your people were being threatened, I wonder if you'd want the war then. This is so obviously lame. you know, Only fight the wars I'm interested in, please. And you're just overtly saying you're not interested in rescuing the future victims. You're the one who's really not an anti-natalist. You really don't care about the victims. Just about stopping pregos or something for you, right?
an uncritical and irrational manner.
Right, and you haven't pointed out any of this uncritical or irrational stuff. I mean, and your buddy, Conundrum, concedes all the arguments. He concedes that if you don't do anything, the disaster will happen. He concedes that if you don't stop Hitler, yes, all the Jews will die and they'll all be tortured horribly and it'll be awful, awful, awful. But too bad we can't do anything about it. And you're calling me uncritical and irrational. And that's what they're doing. Come on. Ugh.
Like in order to follow a figure perceived as a
Sorry, he's starting to talk funny. In order to precede a leader or a... I guess I better go back because that sounds kind of funny. You know. In order to follow a figure. So it's just so funny. I mean, I'm just such the anti-hero, the anti... I'm the antithesis of all the things you should be if you want to be a controller of the masses and be a leader and be all of these bullshit things. So it's clearly not happening. I mean, that's just clearly a little delusion of yours. If there's anything people are respecting, they're respecting my arguments and the fact that I'm making an appeal for the victims, because that's what they see too. They see the pool of victims and they're saying, oh, finally somebody's fighting for them. Yeah, that's what they see. That's what they're following. Okay, in order to follow a figure perceived
as a leader or to mitigate a sense of helplessness.
Again, just horseshit. Yes, I'm sure they need to mitigate against the sense of, oh shit, I'm going to have to keep doing this over and over again because these morons can't grow up. I'm going to keep being rehatched and crack out of a stupid egg, and, the next version of this could be even worse than this one. I'm just going to keep on going through this stupid process of, living to be destroyed in some brutal manner. Oh, great.
But that is what many of those who call themselves antinatalists are.
Yes, they're right. There's a lot of people who call themselves antinatalists and they actually want there to be no humans on Earth. That's what they actually want to accomplish. And they actually understand that the animals are just retarded versions of humans and we have to behave for them. We have to do something in their best interest because they can't. They don't have the intelligence to do it. So we're going to have to do it for them. And it'd be really nice if we could just push a button and they all become sterile, but that's not going to happen. So yes, we have to do some culling. We have to do some sad, depressing work to get the job done. It's just a fact. There's no better answer. Okay, and certainly I don't want to know nothing about any of this. That answer isn't going to work at all.
Actually doing in support of atheism. Till not long ago, I too agreed with atheism.
Oh, it's so amazing. So somehow he agreed with it without understanding it, even though it's so damn simple. The whole point is that it's just us. There is no other God to clean up anything. There's nobody to put on their boots and walk through the sewage. There's nothing else to do. You only have one option here. Okay, I mean, I can give you all kinds of analogies, and I've already done that. But there's a hole in a dike, and all there is a 6-year-old kid, right? And if the dike breaks, hundreds of millions of people will go through horrible suffering for 10,000 years. I mean, a horrible price is going to be paid if it breaks. And all you got to do is shove the 6-year-old kid in the hole, all right? And now, yeah, it's unpleasant. Oh man, this is going to be so horrible. I mean, I'm laughing because it is horrible. I'm laughing just to take the edge off the horror. It is horrible. It would be a horrible choice. If any human being was ever put in this position, it would be a horrible thing to have to endure. But the logic of it is so overwhelming. I mean, it's, I can't even explain. I mean, talking about how, the difference between the size of the universe and the size of an electron doesn't even get to the cavern of disproportionality there is between the right answer and the wrong answer in that situation. It's so obvious what has to be done. And you're just too chicken to show up, grow some balls and do what has to be done. And you're too chicken, and the end result is failure. Colossal failure on your part. You will fail as a human being. You will fail as a thinking machine. You will fail as a logician. You will fail in every single respect. Okay, because you said, I can't do that. That's just unacceptable. I can't play Superman. I can't be a hero. It's too hard. Well, that's what you basically did. You said, I don't want to be a hero. I can't do it.
I saw some problems with it, but I thought they could be fixed and that it was worth supporting. But then slowly, especially lately, I realized that atheism is not simply polluted with harmful and wrong ideas.
Like what? So that would be the part where if you were going to do this reasoning with people thing, you ought to have some sort of logical argument. And again, what's your logical argument? Where is the reasoning behind atheism found to be in deficit? Why don't you explain it? Because you haven't explained exactly what you're saying. Again, are you saying you will never go to any war for any cause ever? I'm saying this is the most obviously worthwhile war that could ever be fought. These victims are so real and so absolute in their right not to be victims that there's just no defense for this behavior. There's no defense for not stopping it.
but is substantially made of wrong premises and conclusions.
Well, good. Let's see if you point some of those out.
I have increasingly realized that atheism is useless for its own purpose.
Okay, I. Oh, this is all about you. It's not about an argument. Oh, okay. Yeah, fine. I don't like you either.
And detrimental to the ethics behind antinatalism.
Alright, so let's see if he backs any of this up with anything called an argument.
Atheism doesn't equal sentiocentric antinatalism, which
Okay, so now we're using this weirdo bullshit, some more weirdo words, right? So you think that you're going somewhere with centrocentric antinatalism. Centrocentric antinatalism. Yeah, I can just see that written on a bus. Oh, fuck. Okay, and he has a which means in here, so he is explaining what it means. Oh, thank you.
means antinatalism applied to all sentient beings.
Yeah, that's right. It's sentience is sentience is sentience. Ouch is ouch is ouch is ouch. I don't discriminate. Say, oh, that ouch doesn't count. That ouch doesn't count. No, they all count. An ouch is an ouch, no matter how small, as Horton would say.
As I myself tend to believe until recently.
Okay, whatever that means. So again, I. It's all about you. You. Not an argument. Just your own little attitude problem, I'd say.
But it's something irremediably different. It's made of various ideas, often arbitrarily connected to each other.
Okay, so again, point out where the arbitrary idea is, or the arbitrary connection, and the ambiguity, or any. You can't do any of it. So again, what's not obvious? Exactly. There are people who are going to be born. They never gave consent to be subjected to the parents they're going to be subjected to the deficit, even, right? Right now a kid's being born and he owes, oh, I owe $40 billion. Yeah, sure, no problem. 40 trillion. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll go to a slave camp forever to pay it back. Sure. I mean, there are all kinds of just really obnoxious deals that have been made that there's no reason for anybody to respect them. There's no reason to have any respect for any contract, because there really isn't any. And so all of this is easily argued as being a terrible and obnoxious imposition. Rape is the right word for it. I mean, it's the bigger rape, for fuck's sake. It's more rapey than rape.
It's an ideology whose sole purpose is to minimize suffering at all costs.
No, to get to the best solution to the problem. There's a problem, there's victims, I'm going to rescue them. What's the best way to rescue the most of them for the leasty? How do I pay the least in terms of causing suffering to prevent the most suffering? Is that too complicated for you? Is to show me how your mathematics says that doesn't work? This plan won't work? Can you do that? Because until you do that, what are you arguing? You're not arguing that the math is wrong. You're saying, I don't want to do math. Yeah, what? You have to. It's part of the obligation of being here and making judgments, is that you have to add it up.
For atheism, the end justifies the means.
So, of course, ends justify means. Of course they do. There are all kinds of ends that are justified, right? I mean, let's say somebody has a super virus, and we put them in a bubble. You know, we give them a bubble room so everything can be filtered, so they can still live, they can still do stuff, but they won't spread the evil virus or some. Yes, the ends are completely. We justify the means because the ends are so fucking fantastic. Everybody doesn't get viruses and get sick, and horror. I mean, there's a millions of ends, okay, that justify lots of means, and yes, of course I'm saying that. You're not saying anything to explain how the end of letting the 10 million people live in horrible, awful conditions forever because you wouldn't kill one person. You haven't explained how that means is justified. How that end, you can justify it because you spared one individual, so much inconvenience, horror, pain, suffering, but you allowed all of that to happen because you didn't do anything. You haven't explained any of this. How it makes sense. How the one victim you're going to save in the present is worth more than all of those future victims. That's the simple math, right? We're stuck with it. There's no way to escape it. You're saying, I value the one individual, okay, and I don't value the future individuals. They can go fuck themselves, is what you're saying. Fuck them. Because I think this one's precious. And I'm saying that's illogical. No, they all have the same value. And if there's more of the ones in the future, then that's where you have to put your resources. You have to invest in the bigger pile of welfare stakes. You can't logically invest in your prejudice towards one in the present.
Even at the cost of being violent, and this is seriously wrong and dangerous.
Yeah, whatever. So again, there's no argument about any kind of violence, and so he would call it violent. Like I said, anytime you went out and had to eradicate something for the welfare of, for a bigger purpose, like there was some invasive species, and it was killing all of the, kiwi parrots or something. And you're saying that, that you can't eradicate the feral cats, or you can't eradicate the rabbits, or you can't eradicate the pest, okay, because the cost is too high, because you're not willing to spend billions of dollars to do it. Some humane, super humane way, where you sterilize them all some passive way without even bothering them. So, some magical way, because we don't even have those kinds of tools. And, it's just bullshit. Your solution is no answer, okay? That's what you're saying. The right solution is to choose the no answer. So the non-solution, the anti-solution, frankly. If there were better choices, I would choose the better choices. You do understand that, right? I'm not preferentially choosing, let's choose violence. No, I'm just saying that the fact is you're not going to be able to make this omelet without breaking eggs. That's just a fact. So get used to the idea of you being stuck in a thought experiment that's going to be unpleasant, because that's reality. Reality has unpleasantness in it, retard. Okay, you have to make hard choices. And it might happen to you on the street tomorrow. Tomorrow there might be a circumstance where you're just thrown into it. Right? I mean, a car crash happens, the cars are smoking, they could be on fire any minute, it could explode. How far do you go in? What do you do? Logically, understanding, balancing these equations. And they're all going to be ugly choices. You're not going to have any, there's a magical button I just proved that it pushed and it makes the past go away and it didn't happen and the car crash never happened and I was never here. There is no get out free. There's hard choices, and you gotta stand up and do what you think is the right thing. And you haven't explained to me how any of this cause isn't worth fighting for. You haven't explained a single sentence explaining how we're wrong to think it's worth it.
Activism entails being in favor of killing in circumstances that are not limited to extreme cases.
Let's name it. So name where the extreme case isn't the fact that there's going to be a differential in harm that will be huge. Millions to one, perhaps. Okay, so go ahead and explain how that isn't the truth. Go ahead and explain how if we don't fix feral cats, that is, if we don't do some the hard work now, that somehow those hundreds and thousands of millions of cats in the future don't weigh anything. That the value of that, the real rescue, that is the prevention, the cure, how that value isn't worth it. We spend billions of dollars to find cures to diseases, so we don't have to keep buying band-aids, so we don't have to keep paying for not having a cure. That's how extreme the balance is. So yes, the cure is worth it. It's worth the investment.
Uh, Cases of proportional and necessary defense, or euthanasia of agonizing individuals who are unable to give or deny consent.
Well, again, if they can't give or consent, then we have to exercise our best judgment, retard. Where did you think it was any other way? There's nothing else to work here except you say, what? I'll let the microbes decide. I won't decide. I have a big brain and doing all this stuff. I won't decide. No, I'll let the stars decide. Let the stars pull the plug. Yeah, they know when to do it. It's such a bullshit as an answer. I will solve the dilemma by doing nothing.
The pro-mortalist stance of fatalism is also not limited to a so-called endgame scenario.
Okay, so it's just more bullshit. That there's some agenda supporting something. So beyond the fact that one member of the FLS community, let's say, has pointed out how this feral cat thing is a real problem, and you have to deal with it. You have to fix it. To sit here and just let it keep happening is really, 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 really cruel. So what's your solution? And see, that's where I hear the crickets. You have none. Your solution is, well, let's cut his nuts off and throw him back to eat garbage. There, that solved his suffering problem, didn't it? I mean, his nuts were really his problem, right? And that solves the reproduction problem, right? I mean, I get rid of the feral cats because they don't breed anymore because I cut all their nuts off. Well, you didn't do that, though, did you? You didn't cut all their nuts off. So you didn't solve the problem at all. You didn't change the equation at all. You just changed which cats live and which cats die, but you didn't change the number of cats that will exist because you don't even understand evolution, you retard. You don't even understand how the system works, that cutting nuts off doesn't do you any fucking goddamn good. Because, one male can, take the other guy. I'll take some other husband's place anytime, right? Lots of men will just, I'll take his place. Oh, sure, I can do that. You're really stupid.
Fatalism aims to the extinction of all life, or at least to the extinction of all sentient life.
Yeah, you get rid of all the stuff with a neuron and you're pretty much covered, frankly. Because neurons only happen once in evolution, and once they're gone, they're not coming back. No real odds of it. It's the only thinking cell there is. It's the only one the brain can ever be made out of. It's been demonstrated by millions, hundreds of millions of years of evolution are demonstrating it. So if you can get rid of all the stuff with a neuron, the rest of life is just going to sit around and be little robots, and that's it. Little non-sentient robots.
As if it were something realistic and achievable.
Yes, it is.
Sentient life cannot be eliminated.
You haven't proven it, you haven't argued it, you haven't provided evidence of it, you haven't provided any logical explanation for exactly how it's not. You're doing nothing.
But suffering and harm can be reduced and prevented. But this doesn't include harming and killing human and non-human animals.
Right, we'll stop Hitler with wishes. Yeah, I wish he would go away, and then he'll go away because I wished it.
In order to prevent their future suffering and that of future generations. This is not justifiable. It's misleading to call it euthanasia.
Oh, so now he's saying it's a lie, that you're not doing it for its interest, you're not doing it to prevent harm. It's, we're not allowed to say that we're trying to be mercy killers. We're protecting victims, we're reducing harm in the equation. The transition of time will take place and there'll be less blood on the ruler. And you're saying, oh, that's not a good thing. We didn't do it for that reason. Yeah, fuck you. You're not even coming close to making an argument to defend that my motivation is anything other, okay, than to prevent unnecessary harm. And that's what euthanasia would fit into that category, asshole.
Preventing harm, and in particular preventing the creation of new sentient beings, is not a
Yeah, no, it's to preventing the existence. Yes, that's exactly right. Curing the disease. Okay, stopping it. That's the real solution. Prevention. 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 That's the winning solution. Band-aids is for dumbasses.
valid justification for killing. Some atheists argue that people are already behaving as antinatalists, as they
Oh, duh. Yeah, I have been arguing that. That's right. I was the first person to say it, so I guess you could say who says it. So again, he's even afraid to use my name, this pussy.
they are not procreating enough for population replacement, and that we are on a path to go extinct independently of
No, I never said that. Okay, we're not on that path until the smart people start kicking the ass of the dumb, ignorant, retarded, dumbass nations. Okay, we have to start extorting the rest of the retarded fucking world to become civilized. It's clear that civilization gives people pause. It makes them behave a little bit more, less recklessly, let's say. So in civilized nations, people have a context. They understand. If they don't understand that having kids will certainly impact their life, they certainly understand, they certainly can be understanding that it's a little more complicated, that building a nest is a lot of work, and having the resources to take care of all the problems that could come up, and all of that stuff. There's a lot to worry about, a lot to think about, and they're doing that pausing and thinking, and that's the big difference. That's really the only difference, is the fact that, civilization gives people a pause button, and they can press it and say, okay, let's talk about it, let's think about it, let's be careful, let's not be reckless and stupid. But yeah, the ignorant poor are the problem, okay? And the smart people have to tell the dumb people, fuck you, you're not doing that.
antinatalism. So therefore, these atheists think that it's inevitable to have to find a solution for the extinction of the human species, and consequently for the extinction of non-human sentient life.
So I don't know, this was such a non sequitur. So he goes from the point that civilization is clearly showing how it works. Civilization works. The democratic people living in democratic nations where they have free volition, they have all this freedom, no murders taking place, and they voluntarily become antinatalists, okay, in the sense that they behave just like one. So even though they're pro-life and they're pro all this stuff, they have enough pause in them, enough inhibition in them, that they solve the problem by under-reproducing. And that if we can just have that ideology, okay, that's in half the world understands in the sense that half the world is behaving as an antinatalist, and I didn't have to fire a single bullet. Right? My argument is but you, until you stop this other half, you've lost the war. Because they're going to produce more than enough to cover your responsible behavior will be completely destroyed by their irresponsible. They're not pissing in the water. That's the thing they're not doing. These assholes are shitting in the water. Okay? So the water's still undrinkable until you stop the ones shitting in the water. And you'll stop them with nothing. You'll do nothing. I'm suggesting we should do something. We should go to war against ignorant, stupid, retarded dumbass. It should be a crime to be a human dumbass. We have a ton of knowledge now. We have all kinds of information. We've landed on the fucking moon. We should be really done with fucking dumbass.
Since humans will be gone for good. Well, first of all, this is not true. They are obviously not behaving as antinatalists. Only the countries with more.
So that's hilarious. So he's going to call it wealth and education. Is that really what you think it is? No, it's fucking moronic religion. That's the evil in the world. That's what's got to be stopped.
For wealth and education have a negative population growth.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't need much of an education, do you? How much education do you need? Again, I already knew the facts before I even went to school. I had enough of facts to make the proper decision, to understand how this is dangerous. I already knew it was dangerous. I could see it. As a 5-year-old, I could see it was dangerous.
Due to people having less than 2 children on average, while all the other countries still have a positive growth rate. But even if humans will ever reach a point where the whole
So it is an absolute fact that they're behaving like anti-natalists. So he said it's not true, and then he just pointed it out how it's absolutely the truth. They're behaving just like anti-natalists. Anti-natalists just want to reduce population below sustainability. That's all we need. We don't have to ask for anything more than that. I mean, it'd be great if we did it tomorrow and stopped it tomorrow. But no, 100 years, fine.
population starts to decrease, they will definitely find a way to stabilize demographics. Humans will not go.
Oh, so again, even though the majority of people are comfortable with it, in the sense that their personal lifestyle decisions or whatever their reasoning is, no matter what they're vegans for, you're saying, oh, well, if it stops meat eating altogether, some meat eating force will force everybody to start eating meat again. So, they have no logic to defend that irrational mush. There's no logic that you can explain how all of a sudden the country that has a certain ethic, the people have certain ethics, and all of a sudden they're going to behave differently. What sense does it make? What, Norway, they're going to stop being Norwegian? What's your argument? I mean, it's just silly. Oh, they're going to become uncivilized again, just out of nowhere, for no reason. I mean, you're really bad at this logic thing.
Extinct this way, and any extinction plan, whether it is for humans or animals, will remain just mere speculation.
Now, what you have is mere speculation, and you've presented it poorly in the fact that you've defended it with nothing. At least I'm defending the argument that there's every reason to believe that people can get over their need to have children. Clearly, they do it by volition, and all you have to do is give them a little bit of civilization. Yes, you give them a little, a little bit of everybody else who's doing something different. They're being careful and thinking about their impositions. They're trying not to be shitty neighbors. They're trying to be good citizens. They're trying to be all this kind of stuff. Instead of just saying, I'm going to fuck as many bitches as I can and I don't give a shit. And, they're being a little more thoughtful. And is that too much to ask from a human being? To be a little bit thoughtful and considerate.
So there is no clear and precise definition of atheism.
Oh, what a pile of mush. I mean, clearly, anti-life because it wastes suffering. There. You need more of a definition?
But we can say that atheism is a pro-killing ideology
pro-killing ideology. So again, what's the sense of even having a conversation? No, it's a pro-reality ideology. It understands that, well, there's going to be some people, like even if everybody knows it's wrong to steal and it's wrong to rape children, there's going to be some people who are going to rape children anyway. And you're not going to fix that by saying, I'll just ignore them. That's not going to fix it. Hold on a second. All right, I should be back. Yeah, minor pause.
influenced by philosophical pessimism and based on
Oh, whatever. So what exactly is your philosophy then? Why are you for anti-natalism? Are you philosophically pessimistic? Do you think there's something wrong with the world? Do you think there's something wrong with having more people in it? What are you, a pessimist? I mean, what an idiotic statement for somebody who claims to be an anti-natalist to make. if you're an antinatalist, you by definition have to be pessimistic. You don't really have a choice. If you're optimistic, why would you be against procreation? That would be idiotic. If you think it's all going to be all right, I mean, you're just too stupid for this conversation. Do you know that? You're just too fucking stupid.
Pure negative utilitarianism. As such, it is in favor of sacrificing the few for the sake of the many, uh, and it includes the idea
Well, you don't really have a choice. I'm just saying logically, what's your alternative? Except for failure. Complete, absolute failure. You will fail to create a better value ending. Your interaction in the world will be more suffering. That'll be it. That'll be the definition of your contribution. I contributed by ensuring there'd be more suffering. That's called failure, asshole.
that the red bottom scenario or benevolent world exploder is realistic, and that it's actually feasible to convince enough people to.
Again, it really isn't that. Um, um, the task is to convince people to take evolution seriously, frankly, and it's not much more of a task than that. And you have to know. You've been around a little while. You have to understand that this is pop culture is run by absolute shit. And all you need is a couple of celebrities to jump on board, and the masses will just herd to follow. Because that's most people are sheeple. Now, do you disagree? Do you think that most people actually think about what they think about? No, they just hear somebody say something they like to hear. That's supportive of Santa Claus or whatever, their hero. And as long as they say that one thing, they don't care how many crimes they commit. They just don't care. I mean, look at the politics alone. I mean, Donald Trump is a deplorable human being. He's not only ignorant, he's obnoxiously ignorant. I mean, just in such an aggressive way. And yet, as long as he keeps saying, foreigners be bad, that's it. That's all he has to say. He doesn't have to do anything else. He can rape 4 million little babies. He can do anything. And as long as he keeps saying, I hate foreigners, then he'll get elected. Almost. It's that bad, retard. So we already know that that's how bad the politics is. All right, and the same's true on the left. Okay, I mean, all the lefties have to do is placate a couple of things, say a couple of little magic words, and all their crimes are forgiven.
Attempt to such feat, and that anything that looks like it, even if it involves great evil, violence, and
Great evil. So the great evil is to do the right thing. That's all he keeps saying. He keeps saying it's great evil to pick up the 6-year-old and shove him in the fucking hole. Even though the outcome is clear. That if you don't do it, tons and tons and tons and tons of extra suffering will be endured. So ignore the logic, ignore the truth, be a ballless, wimpy, useless sack of crappy shit, and pretend you can somehow explain how that one 6-year-old is worth it. He's worth torturing millions. Because that's exactly what you're saying. There's nothing else you're saying. You're saying, yes, I think the 6-year-old is worth millions of suffering people. I will torture and cause great harm to millions of people because this 6-year-old is looking at me funny and saying, please, please don't make me have to pay the price. I wish the world worked some other way, asshole, but that's the only way it works. God, you're such a coward.
the infliction of serious suffering should be pursued. Aphilism entails certain metaphysical positions as well.
No, the only thing aphilism includes, okay, just make it clear, is that life is a stupid process, okay, and it wastes suffering. It squanders it. It runs a deficit. That's the end of the statement by aphilism. So don't confuse the two things. The fact that I will add to the story and say to you, well, the practical matter is that you can go so far with persuasion, and no matter how much I explain to people how it's wrong to rape 10-year-old kids or something and kill them. There's some people who just won't be persuaded. All right? And the fact is, you're going to have to stop them from doing this, because they will continue, they will keep this disease alive. And so there's just no choice. I mean, the end game will require some unpleasant activity, but it's just a fact. You can't get around it. It's required to accomplish the task. And you're just trying to live in a fantasy world where you don't have to take any risks and you don't have to pay any prices, and you'll get the wonderful outcome. And there is no such reality. You're just being so fucking ignorant to sell this notion that hope alone will solve a problem.
Well, such as determinism and even certain political positions. Antinatalism has nothing to do with all of it.
I don't know what political positions you have, and who knows what your real agenda is. Buddhist bullshit or something. All right, so really stupid. Okay, so you what? That was a persuasive argument. You somehow persuaded me that it makes sense not to shove the 6-year-old into the hole. So even though you're conceding the outcome, millions will be tortured, it makes sense not to. You made that argument somewhere in this crap. Oh, that's right, you didn't make any argument at all. You didn't point out how I have made any logical errors at all. You just said you have some sort of moral notions that reality doesn't have to include hard decisions. That there's easy ones. No, again, who's saying any of this could, we all face it, right? We're all sitting here, we're all connected to other people. We know they're going to get cancer, so we know this is going to happen, that's going to happen. We know that what if they said, kill me, could I do it? These is really hard choices to make. But, I mean, to pretend there aren't right and wrong answers is just goddamn evil. Okay, the truth is there are right and wrong answers. And we have to do everything we can to encourage ourselves to always do the right thing. All right? Fight for the right answer. And the right answer isn't, I'm afraid. That's not the right answer. All right, not much else to say. All right, so that's enough of a video, I believe. Well, maybe during the week we'll do Conundrum's crap, whatever his little crappy contribution is. The lamenting, I mean, he's a bit of an asshole, frankly. I mean, well, anyway, I can get to that. It's just people. So, yeah. So this argument is going to be made by lots of people in all kinds of different ways, with all kinds of different tactics and methods and whatnot. And the whole point is to, do as all propagandists do, in a sense, that to take the best arguments and to highlight them and do all this horse shit. But I mean, the basic theme is to spare the victims, okay? Where the argument is that the victims are the ones that have to be protected. And they're not going to be protected by these, paper masks, kind of. Let's say, I don't know, I can almost metaphor it to some current circumstance. But it's just you can't take just the idea of it. You have to put it into real practice. And real practice in the real world means you're going to have to get your hands dirty. There's no way to fix the engine with anything else happening. It's just a fact. Well, anyway. And you're going to have to get your brain dirty, in the sense that you're going to have to deal with the fact that it hurts to even think about these horrible circumstances. But they're part of the reality. There is a reality here. There's a Karen Ann Quinlan in the bed, and it's on you. Oh, should I waste $1 million a year to keep her alive, right? And that $1 million could help out so many people. I mean, at least 10,000 people in some poor country would be hugely advanced in their welfare with that money. And what am I preserving? A corpse? I mean, essentially a corpse with a machine keeping things running. I mean, what the fuck logic is there? And you're telling me it's obvious to you what the logic is. Well, it's not obvious to me. Yeah, that's enough. Anyway, so till the next time and such, and so forth and whatnot. Eh.